First of all, I want to get your reaction to the news today. The government once again bailing out a big financial company, again giving more money to Citigroup today. First, your reaction to that?
It's good for a few people at Citibank. It's not good for 300 million Americans or 6 billion people in the world. It's just more disaster piled on disaster.
It seems like we keep bailing out the people who made bad decisions, and yet there's no accountability.
Well, it's absolutely. I mean, it's some unelected people doing some unelected things or unapproved things and bailing out their friends on Wall Street. This is outrageous. The way the system is supposed to work, Mary, during periods when people go bankrupt, the competent people, and there are a lot of people in America, banks, brokerage firms, homeowners, taxpayers, who've been doing the right thing, paying their bills, not getting overextended, and probably sort of waiting for the fact that all these foolish people would make foolish mistakes and then they could take over. The way the system's supposed to work, incompetent people fail, competent people take their assets, start over from a fresh base, a stronger base, and then the system grows again. What's happening now is they're taking the assets from the competent people, giving them to the incompetent people, and saying to the incompetent people, okay, now you can compete with the competent people. And so the whole system is terribly weakened. Taxpayer, everybody, the nation is weakened as a whole.
It really, the incentive, as you say, a lot of people do wait. They're like, okay, look at these decisions, they're foolish. And yet, nobody is held accountable. I haven't even seen one perp walk yet of anybody who decided to take all of this risk. They got the bonuses when those risks were paying nice dividends. But now that that risk has come home to roost, they're not held accountable. Nobody's giving back those bonuses that they got 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row. And now, taxpayer is coming in to clean up the mess.
They're keeping the bonuses because you and I are giving them the money to keep the bonuses. Some of these guys are still going to pay bonuses this year with taxpayers' money. Are they going to make acquisitions with taxpayers' money? Are they going to continue to pay dividends with taxpayers' money? I mean, who thought of this system? Where did this come from? This is really weakening America. America, as we know it, is not going to exist anymore. They have spent over $7 trillion, and probably more like 10 or 12 trillion dollars on all these bailouts. And you know who's going to pay for them? You, me, my little girls, everybody's children, everybody's grandchildren. It is outrageous. So there's some 29-year-old guys on Wall Street can keep their Maseratis.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Citigroup today, even with the second round of major bailout coming from the federal government, still has a dividend. I mean, maybe it's pennies. Nonetheless, there's still a dividend. There's something laughable about that.
And they all have their jobs. You said they have many perp walks. Nobody's even lost his job, the people who were responsible for all of this. I mean, normally people get fired, and the previous round of people who lost their jobs took away several $100 million. $100 million. I mean, something's terribly wrong with the system.
It makes you want to just pack your bags and move to Singapore, doesn't it?
I'm thinking about it, yes, I'm thinking about it.
And you have done that. You have moved, and it wasn't necessarily in protest or any policy, but rather you see opportunity in Asia. You have seen opportunity in Asia for probably 20 years or so, and you've done quite well because of that. What is the reaction to what has happened September, October, when things really melted down? What were you hearing in Asia?
Well, they're as dumbfounded as I am. I mean, as dumbfounded and perhaps outraged as all Americans should be, because they see the same thing happen. Now, unfortunately, many of them own American dollars, U.S. dollars. They're very worried about their U.S. dollars. They own U.S. government bonds. They're worried about their U.S. government bonds. And they're losing money on their American shares. The assets of the world are now in Asia. The world has shifted dramatically. Yes, I see opportunities in Asia, but the largest creditor nations in the world, Mary, are now in Asia. China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore. This is where all the money is now. We have to wake up to the fact that the world has changed and that the power, the money anyway, has shifted east, not west.
That's right, and a lot of Americans are saying, okay, well, we will continue this deficit spending. In fact, Barack Obama today saying we're going to spend as a way to, basically kickstart the economy. He called it a jolt to the economy, fiscal stimulus, you know the drill. And say, yes, we need to be concerned about deficits. We just can't be concerned about them right now. We are looking at deficits that are beyond anything I can even comprehend.
Mary, as of, say, 6 months ago, the government debt in America was $5 trillion. That had been built up over 200 years by elected officials. As of now, the government debt may be $15 trillion. It is probably at least tripled, and perhaps more than that when you take in some other factors. tripled by unelected people to bail out a bunch of incompetence on Wall Street. This is the demise of America as we know it.
So what we need then, if we look at this deficit situation, a lot of people wringing their hands over but saying, okay, we are here now. You've got to play the hand that you're dealt. Short of having another great discovery in technology, a la the Silicon Valley of the 1980s, 1990s, what can America do to right itself that it will have the funds to be able to deal with a deficit like this?
Stop bailing out all of these people. Let them fail. Yes, it would cause a year or two of problems in America, but we had 10 years of wild excess. Somebody's got to pay for all of that, so we'll have a bad time for a while. The Japanese did what we're doing in the 1990s. They refused to let anybody fail. They bailed everybody out. They used to talk about zombie companies, zombie banks, the Walking Dead in Japan. It's 18 years later, and Japan still has not recovered from those problems because they refused to let people fail. Alan Greenspan went to Japan in the 90s and said, you're doing it wrong. You let people fail. You let them clean out the balance sheets and you start over again.
He didn't do that with long-term capital management.
He didn't do that at all. I mean, he's the main culprit here. We can get into all that another time, perhaps. But now America's doing exactly the same thing. So what we need to do is clean out the system, let the people fail. Of course, it's going to be bad, especially in the financial community. But listen, Paulson does not take phone calls from school teachers in Iowa. He does not take phone calls from farmers in Texas about all this. He takes them from, oh, save me, save me, save me on Wall Street. Save me, save me, save me on Wall Street. He's not listening to the rest of us. So we need to let them fail. We'll have problems for a while, but at least then we can start over before it's too late. We also need to improve our education system. We spend 3 times what anybody else does on education. We have worse results. The money's got to go to teachers now, teachers who can teach our children instead of to administrators and other people. We spend money on health care, but it's going to lawyers. It's not going to taking care of people. We don't have the good results in our health care. We need to do a lot of things. We could save the system, but we got to act fast.
That is something that Barack Obama did say when announcing his economic team. He said that we need to look at long-term economic sustainability, and it has to include energy, green energy initiatives, energy independence, or interdependence maybe is a better word for it, healthcare, education. He did bring up those things, but they do cost money, and of course he's talking a lot about infrastructure.
No, you don't have to cost money. Just take the money you're spending on education and give it to the teachers instead of to the administrators. You know that in New York City a janitor can get tenure? A janitor can make 6 figures and get tenure? I mean, what kind of education system is that? This is outrageous. Now, Mary, Einstein defined insanity as doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting new results. This is mind-boggling to me. Obama's got the same people who are doing the same thing that caused all these problems. I mean, what do we expect? Would you believe Paulson or Bernanke? Bernanke's been every week for, what, 400 weeks, 200 weeks, has been coming to us and saying blah, blah, blah. He's been dead wrong 200 weeks in a row. Paulson's been dead wrong 100 weeks in a row. So we're going and listening to these guys some more. And now they're bringing back Summers. And these guys have been dead wrong for 10 years. And now we're saying, oh, solve our problems. I mean, this is you should be very worried, Mary. At least I am very worried about the future of America.